So, of course, thank you for joining us today. In this webinar, we're going to be sharing experience with you for your online event so that you can get a jump start on your online event. This is part of a complete series that we've done for Q1 2021. So you're invited to watch back some future webinars if you missed any, and there's lots of lessons to be learned. Today, we're going to focus on the online event fundraiser, of course. So last quarter of 2020, there were 1,500 auctions that came through Octria, event fundraisers. This was for all types of fundraising groups, charities, foundations, communities. In the last quarter of 2020, we saw fantastic success. And answer this question, but you can only answer it if you haven't been to one of my prior webinars. What do you think those 1,500 groups brought in cumulatively? So there were groups that did auctions, they did virtual events, they did Giving Tuesdays, things along those lines. How much do you think those groups brought in? And like I said, if you were at a prior webinar, you don't get to answer this because I gave you that answer then too. Numbers are flying in. I see 3 million, I see 500,000, I see 1 million, a lot. Great answer, Lou. That's something I would tell my son later. $15 million. We're really proud of all of our groups that have done amazing things in their communities and in their areas. So let's jump in. This is our agenda for today. We're going to set the table with some terminology and processing. We're going to talk about online events. We're going to talk about boosters, benefits, and considerations. We'll talk about revenue ingredients, video usage, some lessons and frequently asked questions, website tips, donation awareness, question and answers. After this closes, you will automatically get a recording, a link to the recording back, as well as all the slides. So you'll be able to watch this over and over again and share it with your friends and your auction team. So like I mentioned, this webinar is part of a series, and this is kind of the series in a slide. There's 4 major fundraising types. There's your auction online, there's your donation only campaign, there's your virtual event, and your virtual event with a live auction. And we've done webinars on the previous ones. Basically, you want to choose your ingredients, and then the binder is the mission. Think about the mission as the liquid or the flavor that holds this all together in a super yummy smoothie. For the fundraising operations, your key ingredients that you want to include or throw into that blender would be an auction, a donation, for sale items, text to give, raffle, wine pull, consignments. And then for the virtual event, if you were doing a virtual event, impact videos, testimonials, sponsor placement, you'd have a full show, raise the paddle, live auction, and that was the last 2 webinars that we did. So if you want to listen back to those and you're considering doing that, there was lots of things to be shared. We had an event producer on one of our webinars. There's really a lot of good stuff. Okay, so let's start with terminology and process first. Let's set the table. So an online event website would have traditional bidding. There's a timed open and a timed close. And when I say timed, I mean it's pretty exact. You need a date and a time because it's a computer, right? It's opening and closing it for you. You can set up buy it now items. You can do for sale items. You can set them up as single or multiple quantities. And all the bidding happens on the website or on the mobile app. And then close out for an online auction, the system closes the bidding. You just sit back and watch it happen. The system will send winning bidders a system notification email. And then the bidder will receive that notification. If credit card is integrated, there'll even be a payment link right there. And the majority of the people will hit that payment link, close everything out very, very quickly. So if you came to one of our prior webinars, we were talking about these and we flew through these really fast. So I'm really going to slow it down here. These next 3 slides are all about the online auction. I'm going to go over the benefits, some boosters, and some considerations so you can heed some advice. So for the online auction event, You can run this for days, not hours, like you did at a silent auction or when you're at an event. So there will be lots of time and lots of opportunity to bid and rebid. And you don't need pre-registration. That's not necessary. You can reach a broader audience. There's no ticket or admission required, so the barrier to entry is much, much lower. It's easy to share an event online. Share the URL. You can share an actual individual auction item or a page, and it's so easy to do that by email, by social media. Just connect that in. And your online auction can probably be run with a smaller team. You don't have as much event activity going on, so you can kind of scale that team down and you guys can hyper focus on your auction activities. The auction doors are always open, wide open. Bids and donations can come in 24 hours a day while you get some rest. Okay, so here's some boosters. So that's kind of your baseline. This is how we can boost up your online auction. You can do daily updates on your website. You can do day-only items that are featured because you want to get people to go back to that online event multiple times. You want them to come back in, touch it, see it, feel it, take more actions. You can have featured items with an influencer who will help you push it on their particular influencer day. You can set up for sale merchandise, donation buttons. If you've been hanging around me any bit of time, you know I love a button and a basket. I love donation buttons. I love quick taps so that people can quickly access the opportunity to help you. For online bidding, we suggest putting in anti-sniping and proxy bidding. You can set up text to register, text to donate, and text to bid for your Emerald and your Diamond plans. And of course, you have a beautiful website. If you came and hung out prior to this webinar starting, I think there was a video running and it showed a bunch of websites that were created the last half of last year. And there's all sorts of shapes and colors and branding, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So that's where you can spend a lot of time and really make it special. You can display your auction item catalog. You can have your video on the website, and you can have your video for your auction item itself also. So online event considerations, heed this advice. Of course, there'll be limited social interaction. There's no face-to-face interaction. And then afterwards, you're going to have to distribute the auction items post-event. So plan that out now. Pull out your calendar, say the auction ends on this day. These are the days we're going to be distributing auction items, and this is where it's going to be. Make sure you have that planned out. Be aware that bidders tend to be active at the beginning and at the end of the auction with a lull in between. It's almost like a reverse bell-shaped curve. All of a sudden there's activity and it slows down and it goes back up again. So what are you going to do in that time frame? Don't panic. Make a plan to engage for that final push. And you want to lessen friction for registration. The least amount of hoops or information or credit card requirements to bid, the better the chances you'll have more bidders. The more bidders you have, the better, of course. You may need to educate your audience. If they are new to online auction, which I think it was about half, you can teach them how to. Don't worry, I have some tips for that too. So I'm going to slow down on this slide too here. This is the money slide. These are your revenue ingredients for you, for your online event fundraiser. This is a long list. So pick and choose strategically. What do you think will drive revenue for your group? And B, what is your team capable of implementing in terms of time and effort? So the online auction is pretty obvious. We were talking about that. So are donations. Fund a need. You can put fund a need up there. Be specific what exactly you're funding and why. Merchandise for sale items, we see merch selling frequently, and that's kind of an underused portion of the Octria system, and you can do that. For instance, our school has a school shop that has all sorts of spirit wear. Nobody's coming on campus right now. Put those up for auction or for sale on your auction page. Sponsorships, set those up as for sale, and that's an advertising opportunity. Have desirable items and have a multitude of varied price points and categories. Baskets are my favorite, and a button is also my favorite. Baskets are great when you're collecting all those little small pieces that end up on the corner of your desk. Put them into the system, roll them all up into a basket, and it keeps everything nice and neat and organized. And then a button is pretty obvious also. However, using them on your website will give you a great opportunity for people to quick tab. Okay, here's some frequently asked questions, and I see some questions flying in, but I can't read and answer at the same time, but I'm guessing I'm going to answer a couple of these and then we'll answer them at the end. So how do you find auction items now that we're in COVID or we're on lockdown or we're a little bit of a shelter in place? It's okay. You can still find auction items. There are still businesses that are open that want to help, that need help also for marketing. Start from within. Ask your circle and then spread out from there. Ask businesses that are working with those businesses that donate. It's amazing how quickly you can spider out and get some connections. Promote the recognition on the website. Now that you're doing your online auction, you'll put the donor in. You can link their website to their logo. So there's a lot more recognition that they would have received if it were just in a ballroom or in a location. On our Pinterest boards, we have over 500 pins that go directly to donation request pages. All sorts of sports programs, theaters, sporting activities. A lot of these may not be donating your traditional ticket type thing, but they are donating some merchandise, some autographed photos, things along those lines, as well as directly to manufacturers. There's some Pinterest things on there too. Consignments are good to bring in just to fill in some of the holes. You can do jewelry, you can do travel, and you don't have to do big travel. A lot of the travel consignment places are doing localized Airbnbs. They're doing things that are very specific and local so that people can do some staycation type things. So think about consignments. They come in all shapes and sizes. And then donationmatch.com is a partner that we've had for a really long time. You can go onto their website. For free, you can apply for a couple of donation items. You can increase that. If you're on the West Coast, they have a ton of opportunities. I was just working with a group this week, and they had a couple things up there for photo books, and they gave e-gift certificates. So that was really simple and easy to use. And priceless and keepsakes still work. What's priceless? What's keepsake in your area? Is it upfront parking for next year? Is it something that's intangible? Feel free to push out that expiration date a little longer and make it valuable. So pre-event, you want to post your solicitation form on your website and any accompanying letter. Sell sponsors on your website. If you don't ask, you will never get that donation. Okay. One of the other frequently asked questions we get is, should we require credit cards? Our suggestion is the least amount of hoops or fields to fill out, the better. If there's a genuine risk of artificial bidders that will not pay, then I would suggest requiring credit cards. However, it's still not a fail-safe. People can always deny credit at the end. Not that it would happen that often. We see very, 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 very minuscule amount. Actually, I can't even tell you the last time I saw one. Sometimes people will want to, they may take a day or two, or you may have to send them out a statement as a reminder, but usually that comes in. And the last bullet there is the most important. The easier you make it to bid, the more bidders you have, the higher the bids, and the more income you have. And then, of course, it's ideal to use the integrated credit card vendor with Octria so that everything is completely streamlined. Okay, another frequently asked question we get is, when and how should we start promoting and registering? And this is just one little slide. Our next webinar next week, actually in 2 weeks, is all about advice on engagement. So use your own communication cycle as a ruler. You want 2 solid messaging opportunities. So how frequently do you communicate with your audience, or do you see them? or do you communicate with them? Do you do it weekly? Is there a robocall that goes out? If so, you want to get 2 big hits on that. That's ordinary. If you're a group that meets once a week, or is this an event or part of a workplace where you see everybody on a daily basis? If that's the case, then you can probably shorten the amount of time for the promotion and for the activities. Tag donors, sponsors, and influencers. This makes it much more visible for them to catch in notifications and then reshare to their followers. So use that as your promotion tool. And we suggest when registration opens, that's when bidding is open. Try to resist the urge to have a preview. The last thing you want is people visiting and not being able to do something, not seeing something that they like to bid on, and you won't be able to get them back, especially if you're still working on loading items. So start promoting and open the doors when there is a call to action and the cash register is ready to ring. If you bring nothing away from this afterwards, you want to make sure that when you open your doors, there's a call to action and your cash register is ready to ring. Countdown clocks are fun. You can count down to open and count down to close. Now you're going to say to me, you just told me not to tell people to come to my website until it's open. You can have a countdown clock to open because you're going to use your website in advance to solicit for donations, for people that you're trying to find donations for, and from sponsors. So those people you want to send over to the website so they can see your online presence. And talking about early, when they come into your website, have a call to action. So donate, purchase merchandise, buy a raffle ticket. So how long should we run the online auction? We did a small poll on our Auction Team Talk page, and we found that 47% are running for 1 week. A third are running for multiple weeks, and then 15% under a week, and there's a few that are doing it for longer. So about half of them are doing about a week. Here's some considerations. Like I said, 2 communication cycles, 2 strong communication cycles. Of course, you can supplement also, but if people are used to hearing from you every Sunday or every Monday or every Saturday, you want 2 of those big hits. And then be aware of that midterm lull in bidding. Plan your communications in advance. Schedule everything if you can. Have everything calendared out so you're not waking up that morning and be like, oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do that. Plan everything out in advance. And then at minimum, promote daily. Multiple times a day on social media is totally fine. Those threads move really, really fast. Some people are on in the morning, some are on in the afternoon, some are on in the evening. So it's okay to promote multiple times during the day. I give you permission. Here's your permission slip. So use tags and hashtags. That totally increases your visibility. Longer may not be better. However, it's totally up to you and your group. Okay, another question we frequently get asked is, where do I start the bidding price? And here's some considerations. You want to have a variety of price points, some low, some medium, some high. That way everybody feels like they can participate and open their wallet and help the cause. For a retail item, you want to start the retail value at about 50%, and then you want to have at least 5 bidding increments in between so that there's the back and forth, the bidding activity. Somebody gets outbid, they get a notification, they come back, maybe they look for something else. So 50% and then about 3 to 5 bidding increments in between to get to that full value. For buy it now, set that price over the stated value, 5%, 10%. There is a chance that people will over purchase or spend money over a stated value because they know it's a donation and they know it's going to a good cause. I always suggest to look at your past activity. What happened in the past? Where did things go? Where did they bottom out at? Where did they top off at? How do we maximize the things that worked really well, and how do we drop off the things that didn't? So in that instance, you may want to move some items to raffle to increase your total income. Something desirable that bids up to the max quickly, consider converting that to a raffle. For instance, we have some local entertainment parks around here, and those would go up on our auction and max out the very first day. And they just sat there, and we did the best we could, and we got slightly over the retail value. However, we took a couple of those and we put them in a raffle, and we got 3 times over the retail value of those. So think about moving some stuff around and see if you can maximize that. Use odd starting bids to attract attention. One of our auctioneers recently, he did his auction and everything started at $10, no matter what it was. That was really fun. Sometimes they do things at very odd numbers, just starting something at 23 or 84 or 61 or 18. Just something that triggers people, and it's a little different and it brings attention to it. Okay, so here's another frequently asked question. How do you manage items? So you've got your biddable items, and then you've got your for sale items. So your biddable, meaning your online items, people are bidding on it and they're pushing up the bid higher and higher and higher. Bidding items can be multiple auction items or a single with multiple winning bidders. So if you go to one of your local fast food restaurants and they give you a stack of gift certificates for like $5 or $10, you may not want to put up all 10 of them separately. You can put it up as a single item with multiple winning bidders, and that'll probably max out also. For sale items, you can set those up as pay now or pay later. Merchandise does really well online. Buy-in parties, activities, and of course, raffles. Okay, frequently asked question that we also get is, will bidders know what to do? Link from your known website. That's the number one. Make sure you have the link to the auction big and broad and an image and a big fat button, whatever it is from your website. They're already used to coming to your website. And then you can provide a direct link also in your social media and things along those lines. But have a really good, solid, well-established or a very obvious link from your website. And when you're working on your online auction, when it opens, make your catalog your homepage. This is where they land on the website. That way they can start browsing immediately and bidding as soon as possible. On your website, provide instructions. We make this easy with pre-built sections on your website. You can just drag and drop them over. So there's a pre-built section for bidding, registration, texting, and how to download the mobile app. So the mobile app is great. You can use that for text notifications, and the notifications for outbids are immediate. For emails, if somebody doesn't want to use the app, that's totally fine. They'll get an email when they get outbid. However, they have to go in, check their inbox, and then respond accordingly. So we do encourage people to use the mobile app. However, the event website is mobile friendly from a mobile browser. I often get this question, can we really get sponsors? Yes, you can. I have so much faith in you. You came to this webinar. That means you care, and I know that you can do it. Absolutely. Set up sponsorships as for sale items on your website during the planning phase. Talk about it. Put it out there. Talk about how many people are coming to your online auction, how many have come in the past. Give any sort of quantitative information that you can. And also set up your Google Analytics so that you can collect that data for afterwards so that you can share it with them. And that way you have it for your next event fundraiser. That way you can have some quantitative data for those sponsorships. You can set up your sponsorship as a banner with a couple across in one row, or you can set up a whole sponsorship catalog, kind of like your donor catalog. If this is the first time that you're doing sponsorships, start low. It's found money. You never did sponsorships before. Ask for it. You never know. If this is not your first time, you can maximize sponsorships with placements and other online recognition. So use that to up the value, up the opportunities for sponsorships at higher levels. Nurture your sponsors so they come back year after year, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, so in the lobby of this webinar, there was a video running of websites where it showed Octria events that were recently run. And here's a few still shots and examples. Let's start on the top left, the one that says Mosaic. This one was thanking sponsors with a bright and lively fashion. Treat your sponsors like royalty and they will remain sponsors for years to come. Okay, let's shift over to the purple image. They were using clocks to bring attention to the time left to take action. And they changed the title to indicate exactly what they were counting down towards. So the beginning of the event or the close of the event, just because you are living and breathing the fundraiser and probably your family around you does not mean that everybody else is. So it never hurts to over communicate. Okay, let's go to the bottom left. They made great use of buttons on their website, and you can see they have 4 of them there, and it was a quick tap where people were able to register, view a special auction item that they had, and donate. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, this is an example where they used merchandise for sale. Your auction can only have so many bidders, so many winners as there are items, right? So there's going to be a lot of people that bid that got outbid. You want them to spend money with you still. You want them to support your cause. And merchandise is a great way to fill those tills. Okay, I want you to be intentional on your website. Lead with the mission and be donor-centric. You're going to have your overarching message. With the Octria website, it's highly customizable. So you can use your colors that you use, your branding. You can link donors for recognition and sharing. You can change out the headers. You can change out the footers so that they follow you on every single page. You can put the sponsors in either one of those so that they show on every single page. Like I said, buttons for quick access. And think about your catalog orders. What's going to show on that very first page? Up at the top, the very first one that they see. Make sure there's a variety of pieces up there and your most favored auction items. And then for your menu pages, make sure those are intentional and modify as you need. So you can change your menu items at the top and you can call them exactly what's important for you. Instead of just general fund a need, it's, you know, funding the school or funding the shelter, the Humane Society, or whatever you're working on. Use video on the website, and then you can also include shipping and fulfillment instructions. Because remember, this is an online auction. You're going to have to get those auction items to people. And then, of course, Octria makes it easy. Say it with me. Octria makes it easy. Templates are ready for out-of-the-box usage, and then you can go ahead and modify them for branding and coloring, like I had mentioned. Okay, let's talk fund-a-needs, paddle raise, donation buttons. They all kind of fall into the same general area. Fund-a-needs that succeed answer the question, what is your why? You want to do this both in a manner that is qualitative and quantitative. So paint the picture on how this will help your community and the funds that they're supporting. And then numerically, you want to message, if this, then that. If you donate this amount, we will be able to do this with those dollars. Try to get to a core number or per unit if possible. You want to celebrate prior goals and share your future goals and where those dollars are going to be spent. So the more information that you provide to the donors, the more informed they are, they can feel proud about their donation and easily share and encourage others to participate, because you want them to say, hey, I love this cause. You want to come along and help me also, so that you can expand that reach. Okay, so the next slide, kind enough, gosh, I guess about 4 or 5 months ago, we did a webinar with GFS Events. They're an event planner out west. And this is a example of one of the website pages that they used. Remember I talked about daily activity? They kept this page, this front page, fresh and dynamic. Daily, they added new videos. So they sent out emails to their constituents, their supporters, and said, hey, there's a new video, come and see it. And it continued to draw people back to that web page. They had new for sale items, and then they pushed this out daily on social media, as well as through emails. And remember to use a donation button. Which leads me to donation buttons. A donation element on the website for cash donations is the easiest way to get that up there and get it fast. We use that a lot for Giving Tuesday. However, you can also provide a variety of donation amounts and a free-form field for custom donations. Here's a closer look for a donations for a fund a need. So this was created with Octria, with the templates. This is just a narrow vertical card, and the fund a need may elicit a different group of people to give. Those people that want to give directly to funds for a specific use or a specific need. So this group is a school, and they're looking to replace their tennis nets. They're looking to replace their basketball, do some work in the weight room. So there may be people that have kids in the tennis unit and only want to donate towards that. And you know what? They're going to open up their wallet and they're going to share because they know that that money is earmarked for that. So you're betting that the basketball and the tennis families and the boosters will be more willing to donate cash knowing that it's earmarked for that particular facility or activity. Okay, let's go back to sponsorships for a second here. Selling sponsorships directly from your event website is easy, especially if you give them a big button to click on. That way they don't have to look for it on the menu. Sponsorships help both the charity and the business that's contributing. You can offer sponsorships at multiple levels with increasing benefits. Start with asking your inner circle, your board members, your influential donors, and then after you get a few sponsors, ask them to connect you with like-minded business that will also want to be associated with your charity. That's the best way. Sponsors beget sponsors. You talk to them and you say, hey, do you have any vendors? Do you have any cohorts in your area that would also want to donate? And chances are they'll probably give you one or two opportunities for you to follow up on. Hopefully they'll make a connection for you and it'll be a soft open and a soft sell. When you're referred by a mutual contact, there's a much better chance that they will participate. When that contact is spending money with your organization, especially for multiple years, that bond is even stronger. So you're going to build on this year after year. And then here's what the sponsorship row in a footer looks like. So you can see there were 3 sponsorships available. One was on the left, one was on the middle, one was on the right. 2 were sold. The center and the left are sold, and the 2 logos are up there. If you click on those logos, it goes to the real estate place, and the other one goes to the engineering place. And then the third one is still available for sale. If you click on that one, it goes to the for sale page for the sponsorships. So leave the sold items up on your for sale page, at least until all of them are sold, showing that this is not a commodity, but it's a coveted product. The sponsorship sale page, you can see, like I said, the 2 are sold and already posted, and it says sold out. And I placed an image card in the 3rd spot. So if you click that image card, it goes to that sales page. Clicking the sold logos, like I said, will go to that sponsor. So think about that in terms of the sponsor. How's that going to help them? You're going to be able to provide that information for them, and they will have an opportunity to support you as well as have access to your audience should they wish to click on those logos. So I know I sound like a broken record with my video and image advice, but Octria really does make that, say it with me, easy. You can add video 3 ways. So 2 are most relevant to our online auction today. You can do standalone video on the website. This is good for your impact video, testimonials, and then after the virtual event, if you have a virtual event, you can post that up there also and have that available on replay. You can also use video in the description of an auction item. This is in addition to or in lieu of an image. This is great for 3D objects, keepsakes, or something like a vacation where the hotel experience has a video and you can show and tell a more full story. Going back to the Fund a Need that was on there, if you were actually to go to that website, there's images and then there's actual little snippets of the principal talking about each one of those and why it's important to fund those. So consider the purpose, and for your auction items, keep those videos short and tight. For a feature video, I'm giving you permission to go longer. And then just as an aside, the third way to use video on Octria, if you were doing a virtual event, you can set it as a pop-up video, and you can do that alongside with a virtual event that can be free-floating and moved around. So moving along, mobile access for a bidder. Your event website will be mobile friendly. You can access it from any modern browser. If you download the mobile app, people will get outbid notifications. You can do text to register, text to give. Winning bid notifications and a payment link can go out by text also. The mobile app is available for Apple and Android devices. And the outbid notifications on the phone really do trigger people to do stuff. And then the next area I want to show you about was the text to donate and register to bid. I'll pull that video up at the end if you want. I know we're running a little light, but if you go into your dashboard, if you are on the Emerald or the Diamond plan, you have texting already in your plan. You just need to enable your phone number. And text to bid, text to register, text to donate is really, really fast. So let me move on. Let's talk about payments and closeout. Online auction bidding closes automatically. If your credit card is enabled, there will be a payment link on the winning bid notifications. Bidders can view their account and make a payment, and you as an admin can trigger statements and receipts. And then post-event. So let's close all this up. After your event opens or closes, there might be a couple items left over, and that's okay. You can reopen those after the event as for sale items. Make sure you post a status of your final income. Thank all your bidders, your donors, your volunteers. And if somebody made large donations, consider handwritten notes or a phone call from a board member. Permission to ask again can only occur after the thank you and the reporting. And then this is just a comment of a recent review that came in. This is a group that had never used online auctions, and they talked about their parishioners had enjoyed the online auctions, and believe me, many were not happy about it at first. People don't like change. Have you heard that before? And now they're asking for a hybrid for next year. They don't want it to go away. They had several buyers that would not normally come to their auction picnic that they ordinarily had, and they had a bidder that didn't win. They had plenty of bidders that didn't win that made a donation anyway. So that's exactly what I say. If you don't ask, they don't have an opportunity to give. So the left-hand side shows all the webinars that we've done in the last, since January. We have another one coming up in March talking about social engagement and media. Join us for any of those. Join us for the March 10th or watch back any of the others. And then we also have some roundtables coming up. So we vacillate back and forth from webinars to Facebook Lives. These are a couple of Facebook Lives. They are roundtables with some of the experts. On March 17th, we're going to have a bunch of benefit auctioneers with us. And then on March 24th, these are professional fundraising event planners. And I've invited all of these guests to join us because they are really top of their field, and they have a lot of information to share. And those will be wide open, question and answer. I'll shut up. You can talk and let them share everything that they know. So these are the ways to stay in touch with us. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. YouTube. We have all of our webinars up there. Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter. That's where we push out a lot of notifications for any sort of webinars or activities. And I invite you to join our Facebook group, Auction Team Talk. It is a group, I think we're almost approaching 485, close to 500 people that are on there. And it's just people like you that are running auction and events, and they're looking for some friends. There's all sorts of event planners and auctioneers that hang out on there and answer questions also. And then if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. We do have an Auctria launch program that you can add on to your Emerald or your Diamond plan, where we'll do all the setup for you. We'll have a discovery call with you and your team in advance and take care of all the setup pieces within the Auctria platform. That way you can do what you do best.